Cowboys Nation. How the hell y'all feeling right now?
Yo, this is Neville Gallimore from the Dallas Cowboys, and I want to give a major shout out to Mike Tag. Keep bringing the hype to the Cowboys Nation. We love and appreciate it. Now, can you dig it?
What is up, Cowboys Nation? How's everybody doing tonight? It's the one-man wrecking crew in tonight to do a little show. We, Mike's taking care of business down there in Dallas, so he's letting the inmate run the asylum. So we'll see how this goes. What's up, everybody? How is everybody doing? I want to start the show off with a little bit of mood music here. Just a second, just a little bit of mood music. Y'all know that song? Y'all know what it is, right? Can y'all feel it? Cowboys Nation, can y'all feel that? Woo-hoo! We got a big game coming up this weekend, but I'm not gonna get too much into that. I'm getting hype already. It's Wednesday. It's only Wednesday, and your boy's over here, and he's getting hype because, man, we got us a hell of a game, man. Sunday Night Football. The lights are bright. Dallas versus San Fran. But you know what? I want to talk about just a little bit. I want to because me and Mike are doing it. We're going to do our regularly scheduled show tomorrow evening. And we're going to dive into the Niners and the Cowboys, obviously, because that's the big thing. Want to get some predictions. Want to kind of break some things down. What we can expect from the game, what you expect from the game. But tonight, I'm just kind of giving my breakdown over this New England game and some of the things that have transpired throughout the week. There has been some news throughout the week that we can delve into and get into without getting too much into the San Fran game. So first of all, initial thoughts on the New England game. It was another stress-free game, and I can't complain about that because being a fan of the Cowboys, I mean, think about it. They've been the cardiac Cowboys pretty much for as long as I've known. It's the cardiac Cowboys. And it's been something that, this season, I thought that we were kind of over that. Obviously, we had that little hiccup in Arizona, but we got right back to our winning ways when it came to the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. And, the funny thing is how this goalpost tends to just to move every week when it comes to the Cowboys, right? We had the Patriots. We gave Bill Belichick his worst loss ever, right? Worst loss ever, dating back to even when he was the coach in Cleveland. I mean, and we get no kind of credit for that. Now all of a sudden it's, that offense is trash. The Cowboys defense is scoring all the points. Every week they find a way to move the goalpost. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I really shouldn't be surprised. I mean, are we really surprised? It's kind of like we're in a no-win situation. When we play a bad team and we win, it's, well, you should have beat that team, or their offense is trash, or their defense is trash. You haven't played anybody. But winning games on a week-to-week basis, one, is hard. But to do it in the fashion that the Cowboys have done it, where they're not just beating teams, they are throttling teams. They are beating them so bad. They're beating them into submission is what they're doing. I mean, think about that. When's the last time that you can remember the Cowboys with, no matter how good our team was and no matter how bad the competition, when's the last time you remember our point differential being this great? This great of a disparity where it's 40-0. Then the next week you're beating the Jets down, and then the next week, you have that road bump, you lose the Cardinals, but then you bounce right back, and it's a 38-3 ass whooping. Like, they moved the goalposts on this team, and then last year the whole narrative was Dak throws way too many interceptions, and now it's that Dak's getting carried by this defense. Question to Cowboys Nation: are any of you at all, or any of you concerned or worried about the fact that our defense is perceived as carrying the team? Because I'm not. I've said it before. I don't care if we win a game 6-0, 3-0, just win, right? Just win. And that's just how I feel about it. And I think that it's a good win. I feel like that. I just feel like that this team is constantly getting overlooked, underestimated, shit on. But what I see week in and week out is I see a good team with a good defense and a capable offense that once they get the red zone issues figured out, sky's the limit for this team. Because if this team was scoring touchdowns instead of field goals in the red zone, can you imagine the amount of points that we would have scored and how much bigger of a we'd be 4-0 if we were scoring in the red zone. We'd be doing 4-0. 49ers serving up a 40 burger on the Cowboys. Well, Ultra, I see that you are back to your negative ways. You're drinking out of the cup of negativity. I don't buy that. I don't think that that's what's going to happen. But you know what? The 49ers are a good team. I'm not trying to delve too much into the 49ers because I'm trying to save some of this for tomorrow when Mike is on the show, that we can kind of delve into this and give you what I think. But I mean, earlier this week, something 49er related, Jerry Jones was, and I dropped a little video before the show. Jerry Jones dropped a sneaked call. You know what? I hope they are. I hope they are hiding, that they have been hiding something offensively, because here's the thing. I think that, the one thing I'll say about the Cowboys offense so far, we traded for Cooks, and the reason we traded for Cooks was for that deep threat. How many deep balls have you seen thrown, period? Not even just to Cooks. How many deep balls have you seen thrown? And you can't tell me that Dak doesn't go deep. He's been, throughout his career, one of the more accurate passes of 20 yards or more. So it doesn't really make sense there. Now, there's people that are saying, well, they're being conservative. They're not letting Dak go down the field because they're wanting him to be more of a game manager. I don't buy that. I think that we haven't had to go deep down the field because we have had big leads, but just because you have big leads doesn't mean that you don't have to take the occasional deep shot to keep the defenses honest. Now, could it be? I've never really been one of the people that has thought or believed that teams or coaches that they hold things back throughout the season. It's like, well, they're not playing their best. They're holding it back, because I think every week is hard. I think every week is a challenge when it comes to winning in the NFL. So I think you wouldn't really benefit your team by holding things back. But I will say that there are things that they will perfect and work on throughout the season. Dak isn't forced to throw the downfield, making smart throws, and wide receivers are getting that yak. Yeah, and that's what San Francisco does. You look at Brock Purdy and the quarterback job that he has done. He's done that through his receivers getting yards after the catch. And Dak's done a pretty good job at doing that. But that being said, I do think that the deep game is coming. I do. And I'll get more into that a little bit and give you my opinions on it tomorrow. But I do believe that the deep pass is coming. Because look, Cooks is a speedy receiver. We brought him in here for that reason, obviously, to have a solid number 2 next to CD. But we brought him in to be the deep threat, the guy that can get behind the defense, the guy that can make the big plays downfield. And I think that, now that we've seen a healthy Michael Gallup, he also can be a guy that can go deep. We've seen that from him in the past, and he's shown that he's been healthy. I've really loved what I've seen from Michael Gallup through the first 4 games. He's shown, huge improvements over last year. Because he's definitely been a guy who's, last year obviously we saw him struggle a little bit, but he's been on his game, and he's got things going now. So that's a good thing for us. Is the more guys that we have, the more guys that we continue to unlock, obviously, the better it is for the Cowboys. Now, as far as the red zone struggles, that's obviously been our biggest wart on this offense. If you want to look at negatives, if you want to look at, things that this offense could get better at, obviously the red zone offense is something we've struggled at, right? I don't have the numbers right in front of me of what we've been, but it hasn't been great. But some of that is self-inflicted, whether it be, not running the ball, Dak taking a sack in the red zone last week on a third down. Mike McCarthy was throwing the ball. Now, I think Mike McCarthy for the most part is called some pretty good game plans, but and then you've got Ferguson not catching the ball. We've had a couple of drop passes that have been in the red zone that have led to that. There's things that kind of lead to that and kind of inflate that number that will come down as the season comes on. We can't forget we have been installing a new offense. This is a new offense. It's the Texas Coast offense. Keep feeding Lipke at the 5-yard line. I agree. I think that we got a little glimpse of Hunter Lipke and saw what he could do. And we need anger in the QB with Golston and the wide receiver in the red zone. Yeah, Golston in the red zone. Hey, now that was a pretty good play. You got to admit, it's been a while since the Cowboys pulled out any trickery, and they did in that on that 2-point conversion. Hats off to the special teams. Now they did say John Fossil had noticed tendencies that the New England Patriots tended to load up on the right side of the line. And were very aggressive coming after the ball for that right side of the line. So the fact that they were able to sneak Golston out to the right just shows you that they're watching a lot of the tendencies of some of these teams. And that's what you want to see from your coaches, is that they watch these things and then they implement that into the practice, implement it in the game plan, and then capitalize it and execute it to perfection like they did on Sunday against Patriots, because that was pretty cool. Anytime you can see a big man rumbling in for whether it's a touchdown or a 2-point conversion, always cool. But I think the red zone defense will come along. I was very impressed with Gulf Coast offense. I like that, Fred. I like that Gulf Coast offense. I really like the fact that we have started to, since the absence, in that Arizona game, right? We had the absence of Diggs, and that's a big absence. Obviously, there's no replacing Diggs, right? No replacing Diggs. But we talked about the fact that if you were going to have a replacement for him, Deron Bland is pretty good, right? Deron Bland is pretty good replacement if you're talking about. We're in a pretty good position. Put Bland in there at the outside corner. You slide in J. Lou to the slot, and we're probably going to be pretty good. Now, things look pretty off against the Cardinals, but they got that ship righted and looked a whole lot better. Linebackers were playing their assignments better. Now, I will say this: what makes me a bit more nervous about San Francisco than New England. New England does not run the same kind of run schemes as San Francisco. Our linebackers and our DEs, they're going to have to play that edge a lot better, because you're going to have guys running on that outside edges, and they're going to have to play their assignments a whole lot better. But don't forget about Turpin on the O-line. Yeah. Look, Mike has gotten pretty creative with a lot of the things that he's been doing, and I like that. It's just fine-tuning those things and fixing them, because, out of all the issues that we've had, the red zone's the most, that's the most fixable in my opinion. That and penalties, obviously. And last week was another, fairly free, penalty game. We didn't have a lot of penalties last week, whereas in the week before, Arizona, 100 yards of penalties, shoot yourself in the foot. Excuse me here. Got to take my drink breaks, guys. Got to take my drink breaks. I'm sipping a little sipping a little something in the cup. But so let's see here. Let's read some. Get to some of these comments. But no, what I wanted to touch on real quick. Yeah, I agree with that. So, but what I wanted to get to now, Jerry Jones had this thing where he came out on the fan and said that he thinks that the Niners are the team that's most likely to get to the Super Bowl. So what do you guys think about that? Because me personally, I think it's Jerry. I think it's Jerry kind of putting a little chip on his players' shoulders. Because I mean, he didn't dog on Dallas. He didn't say he didn't think that we could. He said, because he followed that up by saying, the 49ers have to go through us, right? But he said that he thought the Niners were the team most likely to win the Super Bowl at this point, right? Which through 4 games, if you look at it objectively, obviously I think Dallas is in the mix. You'd be hard pressed not to say that the 49ers are not a team that is a very formidable team. But I mean, Brock Purdy doesn't do anything special down the field, right? I don't see. He doesn't have to, though. He doesn't have to. But if you, as a defense and a defensive coordinator, you know that there are things that you can do to make it easier on your defense and to try to, and I'm obviously it's not that simple, but there are things that you can do to simplify that. If you know they're not taking shots down the field, right? If you know they're not taking shots down the field, which he typically, Brock Purdy doesn't take a lot of shots down the field. They don't throw the deep pass. They get a lot of yak. Then you as your defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, I feel like he can cook something up, and I really do. But it was just interesting to hear Jerry say that, because to me, it kind of feels like a little bit of a little bit of elbow to the ribs, like, you hear what I said, guys? Y'all hear what I said there? I think that the 49ers are the team that's going to the Super Bowl here. When when obviously I feel like if you ask Jerry, I think he's a prideful man. I mean, hell, let's face it. Jerry Jones, has he makes the calls, and everything goes through him. I don't ever see Jerry Jones conceding that another team is better than the team that he has, especially that I feel like this team is very well constructed. This is a very good team, and I feel like that Jerry's going to sit there and he's going to say a lot of shit, but most of the shit I'm not even sure he really believes. So I think that whole Super Bowl comment thing was interesting to me, because I feel like he knows that his players, our players are always talking about they don't listen to the outside noise. Well, I think we do. And I think sometimes the Cowboys players in the locker room buy into their own hype. I really wish that, they didn't listen to things, but I feel like they do. That they do. And in particular with Micah Parsons, you see Micah Parsons, he's all over social media. He absolutely hears things that people are saying. You've seen him fire back shots. But I mean, there's nothing wrong. Yeah, David, exactly. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of motivation. I have no problem with Jerry going out and saying that. You want to motivate your team, you put a chip on their shoulder, right? So that's kind of what you do for your team. We'll see how this team responds, though. I mean, they so far in the Mike McCarthy era, first of all, they have yet to lose 2 games back to back consecutively. They have responded very well after losses. And we all know the score as fans, and I think this Cowboys roster, they know the score, right? Most of this team has been around for the last 2 playoff games. They know about this Niners team, right? And it's a week where in the media, all you're going to hear all week long is how dominant San Francisco is, how physical San Francisco. And those are all true things, right? Those are all true things. But don't let these people out there convince you that San Francisco is some kind of giant, some kind of, Goliath, and we're the David out here, because the Cowboys at 3-1 are pretty good. I don't, you look at this Jets team that forced Josh Allen into 4 turnovers and that should have had 3 picks on Patrick Mahomes, and Dak threw 0 interceptions. In fact, Dak actually has the best passer rating against this Jets defense through the first 4 weeks of the season. I don't think that's a coincidence. Dak is playing pretty good ball. I mean, he's not throwing up, monster numbers, but again, he doesn't have to. His defense is scoring. His defense is keeping the other teams from scoring. We can play, ball control offense, grind the clock out. Again, I don't think anybody here gives a shit if we're scoring, 45 points, 40 points on offense. Nobody really cares. We just want, how many times have we talked about, last year in the playoffs, right? What was the biggest issue? We talked to, there was several issues, but one of the biggest issues that we had was that we said, hey, if not for the 2 turnovers by Dak, we win that game, right? We're like, we don't need you to, we don't need you to go out there and be a, Aaron. Now, I'm not even going to say Aaron Rodgers because I don't fucking like Aaron Rodgers. We don't need you to go out there and be a Peyton Manning and sling the ball 45 times. Boom, right here. We just need consistency. And Dak has been consistent. You took the words right out of my mouth right there. We just need consistency. That's it. We need consistency. And Dak has been consistent. Dak has played smart football. Dak is not turning the ball over. And that's what we needed from Dak Prescott. That's what we need, and so you get all these guys and you have them, they're sitting there talking about, Dak only threw for this, Dak only threw for that. Who cares? Who cares? Right? I mean, I don't care what Dak throws for. I know 2 things. I know when Dak is playing the kind of football that he's playing right now, it reminds me of his rookie season. And Dak's rookie season, the year we went 13-3, I would have killed if you would have told me we could put this defense on that 2013 team. Super Bowl. There's not a person in this world that can convince me otherwise. I mean, think about it. That 2016 team, our Achilles heel that whole year was defense. Just didn't have a defense. Defense wasn't very good. The offense and the ball control and having the ball as much as they did masked a lot of the sins of our defense. That got exposed when we got into the playoffs, because once you get into the playoffs, things change. It's a different ball game. Yes, you can still run the ball, but you're gonna have to put up some points. You're gonna have to put that ball in the air. Dak did that, and we were going up against some of the more elite quarterbacks in the playoffs. So you're going against guys that are going to throw the ball. And unfortunately, we went up against Aaron Rodgers, who, we all know how that played out. But I mean, look, Dak didn't have a bad game that game. Our defense is what let us down. And exactly, Dak is trusting his defense to give him more opportunities, and that's what you want. That's what you want, right? You want your quarterback to give you opportunities you want your quarterback to trust his defense, and you want him not to put you in a position where we're behind, or where we're turning the ball over, or where we're giving points, we're giving field position. We want him to play smart football. Like, if you're playing smart football and your quarterback's playing smart football, you're probably going to win a lot of games, right? So I guess one of my concerns going into this week with San Francisco will be that, that Dak doesn't do too much. I don't want to see him do too much. I don't want to see him press. I don't want to see, don't want to see him get overly excited because it's primetime football. He knows all eyes are going to be on him. Listen, Dak, honestly, right now is in a no-win situation, because, seriously, if he goes out, and let's say Dak has a game where he throws for 230, 1 touchdown, no picks, and the Cowboys win the game, let's say 27-20, right? On Monday, what the story will be is that the Cowboys defense carried this Cowboys team. That'll be what it is. And, and if he loses, then they're going to shred him in the media. They're going to shred him. They're going to say Dak isn't, he's overrated, can't beat the good teams. Here he is. He can't come through in the big moment. He's never going to be able to carry a team. He's only as good as this defense. He's in a no-win situation. No-win situation. But it doesn't change the fact that we're going to still go out there. You're going to still play this game. and you still want to see consistency from the quarterback position, right? So, the other news that we got that I know a couple people have brought in the chat, I did see that. Randy Gregory, all right, Randy Gregory back on the market is Mr. Randy Gregory. What is everybody's thoughts and opinions about Mr. Randy Gregory after the way he left Dallas? It's pretty bitter the way he left Dallas, right? It wasn't good. It left a bad taste in everybody's mouth, right? And Denver just spent 70 mil on him. Cannabis Cowboy. F Randy Gregory. No to Randy Gregory. Don't do it. The comments are rolling in pretty quickly. Don't do it. Don't need Randy. I'm along the same lines. I mean, look, Denver's a bad team. A bad team. Defensively, they're a bad team. Offensively, I'd say they're a little bit better than their defense for sure. But I mean, if a team as bad as Denver is willing to part with a guy after less than 2 seasons, I mean, listen, they signed him to a 5-year, $70 million deal. I haven't looked into the particulars. I have no idea how much of that money that they're going to have to eat and how much dead money that they're having to eat. But I mean, if they're willing to part ways after not even a year and a half of having the guy, would he really benefit the Cowboys to have him on the team? I know people talk about depth and people talk about, he'd be great to add to this pass rush. He's another pass rusher, put him in Dan Quinn's system. He thrived in Dan Quinn's system. It's the system. It's Dan Quinn, this and that or whatever. But I mean, do y'all remember the bonehead penalties? I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but was Randy Gregory not called for, it seemed like at least one bonehead penalty a game? He's just, I don't think we need him. I think we're deep enough at the pass rushing position. I think we've got enough pass rushers. I think we're good. David says, I think we should bring him back and put him on the practice squad. But I mean, who are you releasing to do that? Because right now we've got a full roster. We just had to make some moves to bring in another linebacker because we released Harper. He goes out. Obviously, the Cowboys are thinking they can pick him back up on the practice squad. He gets signed by another team. So we've made, we're thin at that linebacker position right now. Don't really know what they got cooking there, if anything at all. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you gotta push somebody off. If you're bringing him in, then somebody's going, and who that is, I don't know, and I don't know if it's really worth it for Randy Gregory. I just feel like we could release Hoffman to replace Randy Gregory. Yeah, I mean, it could. I don't know. I don't even know if he'd want to come back to Dallas at this point. I mean, the way he left and the things that he said about the Cowboys after he left. I mean, but then again, you think about it. You've got Cole Beasley. I mean, what did Cole Beasley, all the things that he said about the Cowboys, but then, he's like, yeah, I'd come back and play with Dak, in the offseason. So players say a lot of things, but then when it comes to being unemployed, they tend to come back with the hands out there. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't bang my head against the wall and say, that's a horrible move if we sign Gregory. But I mean, I'm kind of the opinion. I'm a little bit of a grudge holder. I'm kind of the opinion of, hey, look, man, you talked all that shit on your way out. You went to Denver. You basically made it seem like you had a deal with us, and then at the last minute, you went to Denver, talked a lot of smack. Go play for somebody else. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, he did absolutely nothing with Denver, nothing. And yeah, it may have been on the it was on the front office. It was on Stephen Jones is who it was, because honestly, I think if that discussion gets to Jerry Jones, I think the clause that they had that he was upset about, that Denver said, well, we'll take that out of here. We'll take it out. We'll take that out of the contract. I think Jerry Jones probably would have got that done deal. I think Stephen Jones was the one that kind of nixed that. But, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. He's obviously a name. It seems like anytime a name of a former Cowboy gets released, fans seem to jump all over that, and they're like, hey, let's go. But if there was any former Cowboy that I could bring back, that I would love to bring back, that obviously we couldn't bring back because he's on a roster still right now, would still be Ezekiel Elliott. Emotional reasons for me personally. I just love the guy, man. And how many of you guys watched the sounds of the sideline and saw the love from Zeke's teammates afterwards? Did anybody in here, did you guys watch that? Because I'm not going to lie, I thought somebody might have been cutting onions at the end of that, because, Dak comes up, gives him the big embrace. He's getting hugs from all of his teammates. And then Zach Martin came around, big bear hug, and that was a pretty cool moment, watching him get all that love and watching that, how much that team really loved him. You can tell that they miss him in that locker room. He's a good guy. Nothing bad to say about Zeke. I will say that I'm glad we ruined his debut, though, back with the Cowboys, because never wanted, there was a lot of people talking going into the game, talking about, hey, Zeke might go for, somebody said he'd go for over 100. I forgot who that was. There was a guy on ESPN said he thought he'd go. Zeke's going for over 100 on his old team. He went for 80 yards the week before. But they did do a jersey swap, Steven. They did. It was actually on the sounds. Dak told him he'd have that. He said Zeke told him he'd have that jersey for him. So they did do a jersey swap. They just didn't. I don't think they did it on the field where you could see it, but he absolutely did. He said that he'd get that. So, I said no more than 65. So I don't know. It was a cool moment though. Getting Zeke back. You said no more than 65 yards, Fred. Well, yeah, he got less than 65. I mean, hell, I don't know if he got 35, to be honest with you. They didn't give him very many attempts out there. Which is weird because, the week before, if he went for 80, you'd think they'd kind of ride the hot hand. But yeah, I'm happy he didn't do much either. How do y'all feel if we could bring Zeke back? Not this year, but later on if he is doing better? Just a question. Look, I've said it before. I don't think anybody in this room would bash you for that. First of all, he's on a roster. That's the biggest obstacle there. Obviously, I don't think the Cowboys are doing anything trade wise, and I don't know that I don't know that the Patriots have any intentions of cutting. I don't think they have any intentions of cutting Zeke, so I don't see Zeke coming back to the Cowboys this year. If it was going to happen, it might be something next year, but at that point, do you even consider that? Because at that point you're going to have, I'm thinking Tony Pollard's probably going to be gone. I don't think Tony Pollard's here for another year. And I think we draft a running back, yeah. Barber with the Daniel Jones over Dak Prescott, 100 times out of 100. How is that working out for that guy? That is, man, I don't know what network that Tiki works for, but if they do drug testing, I would drug test him. To quote Lawrence Taylor, crack is whack. Crack is whack. I mean, how in the hell could any sane, rational person think that Daniel Jones in any world was better than Dak last year, this year, the year before, any year? He hasn't ever even had a season close. Dak's worst season is better than Jones' best season. And I got to give it to Mike. Guys of you that, are regulars to the show, which is pretty much everybody in this chat right now. Mike said it all offseason. He wasn't buying into the Giants. He thought that what they did last year was a fluke. And he wasn't buying in on the Giants hype because there was a lot of hype over the Giants. There were some people that even had the Giants finishing number 2, Philly number 1, Giants number 2, Dallas number 3. How's that working out for them folks right about now, right? I mean, Jesus, the Giants look like they could end up being, definitely having a top 5 draft pick. They are looking terrible. But yeah, last year they had the benefit of an easy schedule, but they did go and they won a playoff game. They beat the Vikings. So, there was, and then they added Darren Waller, and they got the deal signed with Saquon, and there was all this reason for optimism that all these people were like, well, and I feel like I've heard it every year since his rookie year. This is the year Daniel Jones makes the jump, right? We're still waiting. Daniel Jones. Paging Daniel Jones. We're still waiting on that shit, right? I mean, I don't give a damn, right? I don't give a damn. But I'm waiting for him to have a season worth the hype that people keep hyping on him. Like, I don't know if it's just that it's the New York market, if it's, I don't know what it is. Like, you watch him play football, and other than him being a fast guy, he's got some speed to him. But other than that, well, what do you see? What do you see in him at all to make anyone think that he's even in the same sentence as Dak Prescott? Other than the fact that they play in the same division. That's it. It's the only thing they have in common. And then you've got this Eagles team, and we could talk about, since we're talking about the Giants, we got this Eagles team that's 4-0. One of the last undefeated teams in the league. But I'm telling you, man, that Eagles team is fraudulent as hell. Now, I may be wrong on the whole prediction. I said all offseason they were going to be 9-8. I said 9-8 all offseason, right? Could be wrong on that. But the Eagles haven't even got into the meat of their schedule yet. And, I mean, you just look at that defense. That was my main reason why I thought that they would not be as good, was I said their offensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator, lost their defensive coordinator, lost 5 starters on defense, and we're depending on a lot of young guys. Now, that Eagles secondary is garbage. Garbage. Absolute garbage. It's leaky. It is very leaky. They have let Mac Jones pass for over 300 yards on him. Kirk Cousins, 4 touchdowns, no picks. They don't get turnovers. They still have a decent front, decent front seven. They can put pressure on the quarterback. But I'm telling you, that 4-0 record is like water in the desert. It's a mirage. It's not there. It's not. They barely squeaked out and beat Washington. Washington took them to overtime, which, hey, look, that happens. It happens. We lost Arizona. So I can't sit there and say, obviously I got to give them credit for at least beating the teams they beat. But at the same time, they're not playing against great quarterbacks, and those quarterbacks are tearing their defense up. So they've still got to get in the meat of their schedule. They've got to play some tough teams, and their offense really hasn't looked that great. The Eagles' offense really hasn't looked that good outside of Swift, who let's face it. I said that he was, his career high, I think, was a little over 600 yards. He hasn't broke 700 yards in his career. He's running the ball very well. He's a guy that you got to account for, but if you shut him down and then you've got to make Jalen Hurts pass, he's not running the ball very much this season, and doesn't look very accurate. I think he's got what has he got? 3 or 4? I think he's got 4 interceptions now. He's on pace for 17 interceptions. Obviously, I don't know if he'll get there, but still, Hurts doesn't look the same as he did last year. That offense doesn't look the same. That defense doesn't look the same. I know that they're dealing with a few injuries in the secondary, but even when they were fully healthy, that secondary still looked like doo-doo. And, and then you've got Washington. They're sitting over there, and, Washington's gonna Washington. they were sitting there and at 2-1 when they played the Eagles. I'll tell you what, their defensive front looks a little bit better this year than last. They've got some guys that are actually healthy and playing, but at the same time, they don't strike fear in me. I still say that the Cowboys are the class of the NFC East. I still think we're going to win this division. And I think when we look back on it, I think it's going to be that we will win this division easier than what the Eagles won it last year. So I think this team, this Cowboys team, I think is going to get rolling. I think that Sunday night's game, it's not the final test, but it's the semester test, right? It's a quarter away through the season. It's the semester test, right? So we're going to see where we stand against one of the more elite teams in the NFC that we will likely see in the playoffs, how we stack up with them, right? Obviously, I want to be physical. I want to see physicality. That's one of the things that I want to see with that team. But it's not the end of the world. Should we lose? And it doesn't mean we're going to the Super Bowl if we win. So temper your expectations. Just understand that there's certain things that we're going to want to see. Want to see us play physical. Want to see us not get bullied around, not get pushed off the ball. Want to see our defensive front play good and all that stuff. Again, I don't want to give too much of my material, what I want to talk about with the Niners and the Cowboys and the game plan and how I see things shaking out, because me and Mike got the show on tomorrow night. Again, Mike is in Dallas, which is why I'm doing the show by myself tonight. Told him I didn't know if I was going to do a full hour. I told him I'd go probably about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how things are going. You guys are always great in the chat, bringing up things I can look at, bounce things off and stuff. So not having a co-host, I can still bounce off you guys. But so I don't want to get too much into the San Francisco things, just kind of going over a little bit of the NFC East and stuff and some of these other teams and whatnot. But the Niners, obviously, we all know, that's the story, right? That's our rival. Would you bet your car? Hold on. I don't know if this is a Cowboys fan or not here. Would you bet I don't have my glasses on, and these letters are tiny. Would you bet your car and house the Cowboys are going to win Sunday night? Would I bet my car and my house? I wouldn't bet my car and my house on any damn game, man. Any given Sunday. No, I'm not betting no damn car in my house that they're going to win. But am I confident? I'm confident. I'm not going to give it away what I think of my score prediction. I'm going to save that for tomorrow. You guys can tune in tomorrow, and I'll get down to that and tell you guys what I think of my final score prediction is. But I think that we have yet to see the best from this Cowboys team yet. I think that's fair to say. Wouldn't you guys agree with that? I think we haven't seen this Cowboys team play their best. I feel like with the San Francisco 49ers, I feel like they are playing their best right now. I do. But I feel like they're consistently at that level. I feel like they consistently play up to that level. And I think the Cowboys have been fairly consistent this season outside of the Arizona game. But I think this Cowboys team is still building their way up, right? I don't think this Cowboys offense is complete. I don't think right now what we see right now with this Cowboys offense, I don't think that's the Cowboys offense we're going to see in week 16, week 17, right? I just don't. I think that the Cowboys will consistently get better. I don't think we've seen the best from the Cowboys. I think that the Cowboys would, and thank you El Fuego for tuning in. I appreciate you. Have a good night, man. Be safe. We'll be back on tomorrow night again. I think that this Cowboys team, we will see them play up to the level of the 49ers, though. I really do. I honestly do. I think this Cowboys team is going to rise up to that challenge, and I think they're going to be ready. I honestly do. But somebody asked me in the chat where I got this hat. Man, I got this hat on the Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop. It was called Cowboys Drip. I ain't gonna lie, man. I've gotten more compliments on this hat than any other hat I've ever had, and I love it. It's my favorite hat. Funny story about that is I called into customer service because my hat didn't come in when it was supposed to, and it said that it got delivered. It never got delivered. So called customer service. I'm like, hey, man, I wanted this hat to have this hat for the first game of the regular season. Hat didn't come in. Lady said she'd take care of me. It turns out the lady I'm talking to at the pro shop that works in Dallas actually knows me from Twitter. She knows me and Mike Tag both. She subscribed to the show, watched the show, sends me another hat. Literally the day my second hat gets here, my hat that I didn't receive, my other hat that I thought was missing comes in. Now I've got 2 of these hats, and I'm keeping the other one for when this one gets dirty or whatever may happen to this hat, gets just worn out from wearing it all the time. I got another one in my closet. Bam, put that sucker on, and I love this hat. So yeah, pro shop though, pro shop. Winston, thanks for tuning in, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, so which teams do you see turning around their season? Man, teams that might turn it around. Kind of hard to say, man, but I'd like to say Cincinnati. I'd like to say the Bengals, but damn, dude, that offensive line, if I'm Joe Burrow, man, I'm telling the Cincinnati Bengals that I'm not re-signing with them some bitches until they get an offensive line, man. I'm just not gonna. I don't know, man. The way he gets sacked, I'll be like, you guys got to invest something in this offensive line, or I'm out. Fred, man, I rocked them cuts by Jones. I said the favorite Dallas Cowboys hat. I did say my favorite hat. That's my bad. It's my favorite Dallas Cowboys hat. The Cuts by Jones hat, though, y'all, if y'all don't know, man, get him my boy Cuts by Jones. Follow him, find him on Twitter. If you ain't following him on Twitter, find him on Twitter. Not only does he do the amazing cuts that we do when we promote through the show, but he's also got some hats and some merchandise. The Cuts by Jones hats. I'm telling you, they're one of the best fitting hats that I've ever worn. Legit, no lie. I ain't just saying that, just pumping him up because he's my boy and he's a sponsor for the show and does some things. But for real, it's really good. But yeah, Cincinnati's O-line, they're just terrible and porous, man. So I don't know how they really fix that. And they released La'el Collins. That's another name for the Dallas Cowboys that people were like, hey, should we bring La'el Collins back? Obviously, the Cowboys haven't thought that was a good idea because they haven't even brought him in to talk to him, which, doesn't bother me any, but I think we're doing fine. And but listen, that brings to mind a couple of things real quick. So me and Mike have talked about it. We're going to be running a couple of things, promos coming up here in the near future. We want you to host the show. We are going to have a drawing competition. All you got to do is be a subscriber. We are going to have, thanks for tuning in, Steven. Peace out, man. I'll enjoy you on the show as always, my guy. We'll see you tomorrow, bro. We'll see you tomorrow. And yes, I held down the fort, and that's all you can expect, right? Hold the fort down and keep the thing moving. But we are going to have a competition. We're going to retweet it. We're going to have it. You're going to have to retweet it. Just show that you're following the show. And we want to bring somebody in to host the show with us. So we're going to bring in a guest host, somebody that watches the show, somebody that's on Twitter that wants to come in, a new person that wants to come in, host the show with us, chop it up, Cowboys football on one of the nights. And then we're also going to do one where we're going to have a cut that Jones is going to provide. Cuts by Jones is going to provide a cut, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to promote that as well. Just got to be subscribed to the show. Follow myself and Mike and Cuts by Jones on Twitter. Retweet it out. I'm going to get with Fred, and we're going to actually we'll figure that out on when we're going to do that, but we will be doing that soon. I didn't say it yet. God damn it. Mike's going to be mad at me, but if any of you you guys are all pretty much regulars, but if you're not a regular in here, please hit the like button. I need you guys to subscribe to the channel. If you're not already, share it, like it, subscribe it. Keep pushing that out, guys, because we got a lot of good things going in the future. So and yes, the stars we are. Jimmy's Hair and Landry's Legend are definitely entering that chat. We would love to get you guys on the show, man. Hey, you know what? And even if you guys don't win, even if you guys aren't pulled and your numbers ain't pulled, man, we got to get you guys on the chat. We got to get you guys up on here anyway. So, but we are going to do that. And this is something we're going to promote. And we're gonna get that going for you guys. Let's see, we got a question here. Surprise team. The surprise team that I have seen this year is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, hands down. I mean, 3-1, man. I did not see that coming. you know, I mean, they had Baker Mayfield as their quarterback, man. I'm not really sold on Baker Mayfield, but man, look at Tampa Bay. You know, they've really been going after it, and I mean, they're winning games. They're in first of that NFC South, which is a tough competitive division right now. And they're looking pretty good doing it. So yeah, Tampa Bay, absolutely. I got a guy that I work with that's a Tampa Bay fan, and I told him before the season started that I thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Actually, Texans, yes, man, Texans, and that's team number 2. Stroud, CJ Stroud, man, how about him for a rookie? I mean, I don't know how much. I'm sure he's getting some love through the national. I feel like the national media loves to always talk about the Cowboys all the time, and Dak Prescott, and all this. When they they could be concentrating on other quarterbacks. There's 31 other quarterbacks that you could be talking about, and especially a rookie in CJ Stroud, who has been doing very good. Exceeding my expectations, because I didn't think he had really a lot to work with offensively on that Texans offense, but they're doing really good. They're doing really good. So I like that. And the Texicans, the Texicans. That's a team that I wish the Cowboys had more rivalry with, I guess, because I don't really feel like we do with the fans. We do, but I don't really see that in the NFL. I wish that we played the Texans. Actually, I wish we played them on a yearly basis. I feel like that could be a rivalry that could quickly blossom and bloom and be a big rivalry if we played them every year. Because I think that anytime that you have two teams from the same state, I feel like Texans fans always resent the Cowboys fans for, I mean, it's not our fault. We got 5 Super Bowls down there in Dallas. It is what it is, right? But that's a rivalry that I would like to see blossom, to be honest with you. And I wish that the NFL could kind of make some of those interstate rivalries a little bit bigger, because, I mean, I get it. They play in the AFC, we play in the NFC. You could still make that happen, though, right? You could still make that happen. And be a blooming rivalry, and just kind of like, Texas, Oklahoma, which, by the way, Texas, Oklahoma is coming up this weekend. That's going to be a good one for all you Longhorn fans. I am not a Longhorn fan, but I'm also not an OU fan. So, but anyway, well, when they first came to the league, they beat us I remember that. I remember they beat us in the expansion year. I remember because Jerry Jones was pretty sour about that. He was not very happy about that, but it happened. It did happen. So, but anyway, hey, listen, guys, I'm gonna get out, man. I ran the show by myself tonight. Hopefully I did a good job, man. Hopefully I made you guys proud. Did what I do, right? Nah, man, you guys are great as always, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in, coming through, man. I'm gonna have to run though, man. I gotta get some things going and get ready for the week and get ready for the show tomorrow. Again, we're gonna be back on tomorrow night, regular time, 8:00 Central Standard Time, guys. We're gonna be back on. Don't forget to come tune in, follow, like, subscribe. It's gonna be Mike back in the show tomorrow. It's gonna be your boy back in the show tomorrow. We're gonna cover everything on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, I better have too much damn liquor in this damn cup. Too much liquor in this damn cup. We're going to cover everything on the San Francisco 49ers and Sunday Night Football. And I appreciate you, David. I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. Really do. Thank you for interacting. Thank you guys for getting up in here, keeping the chat rolling. Stars we are. No, you guys are the men. I love you guys. Just get up from the tailgate, man. That shit was awesome. But listen, yeah, we're gonna be back on. We're gonna delve into any and everything from San Francisco. Give you our perspectives. Give you the score predictions. Everything going down. Huge game. And with that, I leave you all with a little bit of. Can you feel it, Cowboys Nation? I can feel it calling in the air tonight. I can't sing, but I'm going on American Idol. Cowboys Nation. How about them Cowboys?